Hey guys, welcome to another video. I'm Gabe the Animator. This is Pro Tips When Building a Rig Part 7. Here's the rig so far. We've got that arm covered. We've got the parenting system going. Now, when you build certain characters, you want to make sure that the parts are relatively, well separated, because you want to be able to, have this forearm, this bicep, rotate around, and this tricep rotate around. And I have a rotation point there, so I can do this, but I can also rotate a little bit from the shoulder. So there's some wheel room there. But I just noticed that I've got this red line here, and that is probably because I have deleted a color. So I'm gonna take my my color eyedropper here to go and find the specific color. It will take me to that color, and sure enough, it says no color here because I had used a color that I deleted. So whenever you do that, it turns bright red like that. So I'm gonna go in my palette here and just color it with this black color, and then I can delete this because I don't need that anymore. And I'm just going to press R for reset, and that muscle's going to go back there where it belongs. I've got my logo here that I can move around. I've got my traps, my pectoral muscles, and they've got a little bit of wiggle room here. Sometimes it's hard to determine exactly where you want that pivot point, but I'm figuring that, if he raises his arm up like that, I'm probably going to want to do this with the pectoral muscles a little bit, So as you're rigging, you can move things around to think like, hey, where do I want this rotation point? So I started drawing some of the facial features here. Let's go and check out the node view here. What's going on? So I've got so that's my nose, but that should be the mouth. So I'm going to change the word here, and I'm actually going to name it lips, because we are going to have different parts here. The lips, okay, the nose is in here. So we're going to switch those two. Nose. Okay, looks like I have another nose somewhere in there. Actually, you know what we're going to do? Let's undo what we just did here. And instead, I'm going to put these lips in here where they're supposed to go. And I'm going to put this nose. Oops. So whenever you cut and paste, if your mouse is hovering over the camera, it's going to cut and paste that drawing object. But if your mouse is hovering over the node view, when you cut and paste, it will cut and paste that node, right? So you got to be careful where your mouse is hovering over. Okay. And I did draw an eye here. Let's go and take a look. We've got the eye. So, Flash has got this mask here, and a lot of people might think, well, I'm going to draw the skin and then put his mask on top, which is something that you probably could do. Actually, yeah, I think that's what we might do. Let's get rid of that skin part here. And let's build this eye. Okay, let's continue building this eye here. So let's do the eyebrow here. Whoa, that's way too thick. Let's go and check out our line weight is a 2. So I'm going to click here and put a 2 there. So this is your line weight area, the size of your brush here. And as you all know, I like to use the the box tool and then sort of start sculpting that shape. And the reason why I like to do that is I know the lines are going to be closed, so it's going to be easier to paint. So I'm drawing, you know, the entire sort of muscle region, and I'm gonna maybe curve that a little bit like that, and maybe curve this a little bit. So that's gonna be my eyebrow, but we're gonna delete part of the line so that it doesn't show up like this big black line around here. So let's go grab our red costume, paint that. And now we're going to need to separate all these things into different layers. So I'm going to group the color art and line art together here, Control G. And here I've got my pupil, my iris, and my little shine here. Always have a little shine there. It's good. And we can see that that's grouped together. So now I'm going to distribute all of these things to different nodes. Now you could do this, you know, one node at a time. I lost my eye here. You could do this one node at a time, or you can just box select everything. And maybe not that, because this eye can probably remain in here. And then let's go to drawing and distribute to layers right here. Wait a little bit, and then they have been distributed to layers, but the nodes are somewhere out in the ether. So I'm just going to click on my magnifying glass here. It's going to take me to them. And here they are. They are all one on top of the other here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them all out. And I'm going to go back into the eye here. And I'm going to paste them. Control V. I'm going to separate them using this little button here, align nodes horizontally. And here we go. We've got all of these parts here. Now, because this one was named eye, it has named the rest of the nodes eye as well. It just gave it a little extra number at the end. So we're going to have to figure out which one's which. So this is the pupil. So let's rename this pupil. Pupil. This is the iris. This is the eyebrow. Let's just say brow. And that is the eye shine. Let's just say shine here. And that is my eye. Now they have to all appear in the correct order. And since this brow is going to be on top, we're going to put it on the left hand side here. So I've got the eye, the pupil, and as you can see the eye shine is gone. So we're going to need to put the eye shine over here on the left. There it is right there. So we've got the shine, the pupil, the iris, and the eye, all in order. Let's give them all a peg, Control Shift P. And shine, pupil, iris, and eye. So let's give these all an extra peg, and we will create our hierarchy. So the shine goes into the pupil goes into the iris, and the iris goes into the eye. And then finally we need the eye master that will connect to the eyebrow. So here, if I click on the shine and I want to parent up, I'm going to press B. It's going to parent up to the iris, going to parent up to the pupil, going to parent up to the iris, going to parent up to the eye, and B one more time to parent up and grab the eyebrow. Now these are all fresh pegs, so let's set the rotation point. The rotate tool is right here. And this is annoying because the rotation point is in the middle of the screen each time. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag the rotation point as close as I can to the eye, and then I'm going to zoom in and be more accurate. Otherwise, I constantly have to zoom in and out, and it's annoying. Now, when you work in Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash, as it used to be called, whenever you would create a drawing, you would get this bounding box around the drawing, and the rotation point would automatically be set to the center. That was so convenient. So that's one thing that I really miss about Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash, is this rotation point business. It was just a lot more, it just made more sense, you know. So I was a Flash user for 11 years or 12 years. So it was kind of like my friend, or an extension of my body. I knew it like the inside of my pocket. And then one day HTML5 came along, and then the programmers didn't need animators anymore. They could program the animations to do certain things. So that the job that I had sort of became useless. So that's why I migrated to this software here. And with this software, I was able to work on Lion Guard and Jake and the Neverland Pirates. And I'm actually working on production right now, which is why you guys haven't seen many uploads from me recently. But I managed to get ahead on my work, so now I can make another little video here. Okay, so we've got this eye business going. We've got the parenting system going. And I like to have the rotation point at the bottom of the eyeball here in case you need to do this kind of thing. When the character gets surprised, you can do it with that. Oh, look at that. I missed one here. Now, this eye shape is not the best for that, but nevertheless, this is where I like to have my eye so I can do this kind of thing with it. All right. Next thing we're going to do is the cutters. So within the eye here, the shine, the pupil, and the iris, these guys are going to sort of hang out in the same composite here. And they're going to get cut by this eye here. So let's get a little bit more room here. Let's get some cutters. Cutter. And we're going to need some line art and color art. Color art. Here we go. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to separate the line art and color art. So I'm going to cut that out and place it in the color art layer right here. And paste that. So here's my color art, here's my line art, and we're going to get a cutter here, and we are going to tell Harmony to use the color art from the eye as the cutter. Now that's not what we want, so let's switch the wires, click on the mask, there we go. So now if I come here and grab this eye, I can do that. Now you can see that the eye is getting cut, however, it's only getting cut halfway. So now what we need to do is we need to tell Harmony to show us the line art of the eye in front of the eyeball. So now when I do this, I can move the eye around and it looks fantastic. Now when you're animating an eyeball up close, you don't just want to move these things around. You're going to want to stretch it a little bit, squash it a little bit, and you can even move the pupil around and move the shine around, right? So if you are animating an eye, that's something that you need to consider, right? Let's just have this eye move a little bit. Now I can also reset this eye in one sitting by clicking on this backdrop and hitting R for reset. Resets everything. So now if you look here, if we tween that, now we'll have a little bit of some squash and stretch and some perspective, right? And we could do the same thing obviously for this side here. Just move that eye over there, a little bit of squash and stretch, move the pupil around, give it some direction, and we can even make the shine a little bit bigger if we want, and then we can animate that, and it looks like this. And of course, same thing when the eye goes, if you're looking up, you can move that up, give it a little bit of squash and stretch, a little bit of direction here, and then it looks like that. So we've got our eye rigged. There's one thing missing though. This eyebrow, it looks a little silly like that. So we are going to add a deformer. Now you can go to envelope creator here, go to animation, deformation, and then, envelope creator here. Envelope creator, and you can see I set mine to F4. When you click on that, you'll get this little window here. Now sometimes this is not the best, but we can try it. So how many deformation points do I want? 4, maybe 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see what it gives me here. And you know what? This is actually not bad. So let's edit this a little bit. So I like to have my points, in the middle and corners. But you see this offset? It's really not in a good spot. And the problem with the offset is it creates a pinch in the artwork. So I think I might have to do this by hand because this is not going to be the best here. So we can test it out. Yeah, immediately when I click on this, you can see that it sort of ruins the smoothness of it. And I don't really like it. So I'm going to do it by hand. And I'm going to set the offset right over here. Like that. Have one over here, have one over here, and hold Alt, hover over the offset, and close. Now remember, when you're doing an envelope deformer, you have to choose the envelope mode. This one will not close, and this one will close. And I'm going to have to do a video on deformers and what they all do, the pros and cons of each one. When I started this Flash video, I knew this was going to take time, but I don't know, this might get pretty ridiculous, but nevertheless, it would be really cool to be able to finish this. Alright, let's have a little eye animation here. And we can also give him a little bit of an antic. So an antic is when you go in one direction before going into another. So here we go up, right, up, and then down. And we can also do this kind of thing here. Whoops. There's our eye. And finally, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the line art and color art here. So this has been grouped together, right? So Control Shift G to ungroup, Control X to cut the paint out, and then paste the paint in here. And now what I'd like to do is perhaps, well, I mean, we're not going to be able to see the difference just yet because there's no paint in his skull or skull cap. But I'm going to separate just the line art that I want to see, which would be like maybe about that. That's what I will want to see, that line there. And actually I have to cut that in the other way. This way. This line that I want to see, I'm going to cut it. I'm using my cutter tool, by the way, together with the lasso, which is right here. So cutter tool together with the lasso, Control X, and I'm going to go and paste it in the overlay here. But we won't be able to notice this difference until I have the skull there. And here's my eye. I like it. It works. I think one more thing I'm going to do before I end this video is just copy this eye. Copy selection. So I'm going to do that slow here. Copy selection. Come over here. Make sure I have enough room. Paste special. Create new columns right here. And link to original palettes here. Link to original palettes. Create new columns. Those are the only two things that you will need. Click OK. There's my other eye. Now you can't see it because it's not plugged in, and it's also behind the original eye. So let's just change the color, change the name, hook this eye up over here. Whoops, that didn't work. And link those two eyes together. And we'll call this both eyes. Now, when you're rigging, you want to make sure that all the pegs are set to separate. If you notice that it says 3D path here, you want to go and fix that right away. Make sure all of your pegs are set to separate. So, and you can do that by clicking Control A in the node view. It will select absolutely everything. And then you can come over here to set properties on many layers. And then once you open that, you click 3D path or separate mode. Always, always separate path. Always. And do not use embedded pivot peg here. And while you're at it, animate using animation tools off. And composite modes always pass through. Always, always, always. Now those should be set by default in your preferences. So if you want to set them up, you go to preferences, and you want to make sure that if I just zoom in here, you want to make sure that all these are checked, and focus on mouse enter. That's really useful. And you also want to go to where is it? Oh yes, here it is. Element node, animate using animation tools. That's really important. Make sure that it is unchecked. You can also use the same settings that I'm using here. So you can take a quick look, pause it. I don't want to take too long to explain all of this for now. But yeah, here you can see default separate positions for pegs, so they're not going to be 3D. And let's go over here. Default pass-through for composites. So by checking all of these things, you'll be sure to have all the correct settings. So here's my other eye. Let's grab a static transform. Here, right here. Throw that in there. Hold Alt, slide that into the wire. Zoom out here. And because the other eye, when we're going to flip it, it's going to appear in the exact same spot on the opposite side of the screen. So in the exact same coordinates. Bake all incoming transformations. Let's click on that. And then just come over here and put a minus there, right here. Right. Then just click away. And if you move this window, you can see that the other eye is right here. So it's in the exact opposite spot of the screen. So once you do that, then we're going to scroll down this way. So I'm just looking right in here, that first axis, the x-axis, and I'm going to click, hold, and drag downwards and slide that until the eye goes to where I want it to be. We can see that eye traveling here. Let's zoom in so we can be more accurate. Oh my goodness, there we go. Sometimes you have to type in like a 0 here, or like will that not work? Yeah, sometimes you have to type in like more decimals in order to be more accurate, and it's a game of, you know, trial and error. So you can type in like, you know, 8, you know, you can put like a 7 there, or you can put like a 7.5. Like that, and that will also, you know, you'll be able to be a little bit more accurate. But as you can see, for me, I just have to have an 8 there, and it's just like perfect. So it looks a little freaky there, but you know, when he when I have the rest of his skull in there, we'll be able to maybe make him a little bit more friendlier. Here. So here's his mouth, and we can draw another mouth here. So if you want to do a drawing substitution, you just go inside your, let's go back into the node view here and zoom in on his lips. Oh, his lips are unhooked. Okay, yeah, they're not done yet. But if you want to draw drawing substitution for the mouth, you can just click on the lips here and just click on this little button here, duplicate drawings. And what that's going to do is here I have my drawing substitutions, and I can see as soon as I duplicate this drawing, I'm going to have another drawing exactly the same as this mouth. And then what I can do here is I can get him to smile on that one here. Looks a little freaky there. But now I can swap drawings here. And obviously, you know, when you have a rig, you're going to have, you know, dozens of different mouth shapes. I'm actually going to copy this little bit here. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it here so it doesn't shift. So when I do that, it doesn't really shift. However, we can probably make it move just a little bit. Ever so slightly. There we go. He looks funny there. Yeah, let's keep him a little bit more serious. So I guess maybe in the next video I'll cover his ears, and we can get started on his skull and his jaw and his neck. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know that you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.